Tottenham have one of the smallest squads in the Premier League, and it's beginning to show now, to be honest. We are playing Bournemouth on Thursday, and if we do not match their intensity, their desire, their effort, and if we start to show that we are tired from playing all these games, we are not going to win this game on Thursday. We need to have high intensity. We need to be playing like we did against Manchester City, because if we drop off even by 10%, we lose. I guarantee that. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because Postecoglou spoke in a press conference saying about his players' injuries, his tiredness, etc., etc. But you've still got some squad players there that you're just not using. And it needs to be spoken about today, because there are certain players that are just not getting a look in, even though the players that are playing are not performing. It doesn't make sense to have squad players sitting there just filling up spaces but not being used. There's no point in them being in the squad. If they're not trusted, they should be loaned out, and we should be bringing in players that are trusted. Now, the players that I'm going to talk about, I think are good players. I think they can make a difference and they can make an impact. They're just not getting a chance, and I just don't understand why. The first player I want to talk about is Jed Spence. Jed Spence was not even put in the Europa League squad, which baffled me completely, which means he's not going to get no game time. No, he's not going to be able to develop match fitness, which is probably one of the reasons why Postecoglou was not trusting him to play. Another thing is, Porro's not been playing that well, but Porro knows there's no one to take his position. So he's not got that motivation every single week, and his performances drop. Against Fulham, he was awful. It has to be said, but he wasn't being helped by Johnson. I admit that, but he just wasn't at it. He looked like he had a knock. So having Spence sitting on the bench and not playing does not make sense to me. Spence used to play with Johnson at Nottingham Forest. They probably have they could probably play well together. But that was not even given a chance. I don't understand it. Every time Spence has come on, he's looked good to me. He looks like a good player. Give him the chance to play, build up his confidence. We need all the players we can get when we've got so many injuries now, but we can't use that as an excuse if we haven't utilized the squad that we've got. It does not make sense to me. What about Archie Gray? We keep shoehorning him left back. We keep shoehorning him right back. We're not playing him in his actual position, which is centre midfield. Basuma was off it. Bring Archie Gray on in the second half and play him. You paid 40 million for him. You must think he's all right. But for some reason, he's just not getting the minutes in his position. Even if you didn't want to play Spence, let's say you don't like Spence for some reason, I don't know what it is. Why are you not playing Gray instead of Porro at right back? He's played there before. You play him in the Europa League there. I don't understand. He's fresh. Spence is fresh. What about Bergvall? He's fresh. He hardly ever plays. How's he going to get Premier League experience or adapt to the pace of the Premier League when he's not playing Premier League? If you think these players are too young and they're not ready yet and they're not up to the pace, then loan them out. Bring in players that are up to the pace. Bring in players that when our first team are getting injured or are not at it, the levels don't drop. This is the biggest reason for our inconsistency at the moment. What about Will Lancashire? Solanke got sent home through sickness. Then Richarlison doesn't play all season because he's obviously injured all the time. Then why are you not playing your third choice, number 9? Why are you shoehorning Sonny into the number 9 position, which is not his best position by far? He can't hold up the ball. There's something missing when he's in that number 9 that takes away from his game too. So why are you not playing a number 9 that we have sitting on the bench? It's literally pointless having him there if you're never, ever going to trust him. It's pointless. Bring in someone that you trust. Otherwise, when we get injuries, the intensity is going to drop, the performances are going to drop, and we are going to drop points. It's so simple and logical. It's not happening. If these guys don't play on Thursday, I don't know when they're ever going to play, to be honest. Porro and Udogie are getting overused, and it's going to be a matter of time before they are both out. We'll probably get both our centre backs back, and then they will both be out. We'll never have our first 11 at this rate. What about Brandon Austin? We've gave him a 5-year contract. He never plays. He's taken the position of Jed Spence in the Europa League. He's taken his position, but he's never played. Spence would have been a much better option in that team for the Europa League than Brandon Austin. It does not make sense at all. If he's not good enough, then don't sign him on a 5-year contract. It is insane to me. There's no logic to it at all. Squad size is only 24. Chelsea's is about 42. We need to up ours to at least 30 players in this squad because we need, we've got 4 centre backs. When you get injuries and you play 2 games a week, 4 is not enough. You need 5 to 6 centre backs at least, and we've not got that. So I know we couldn't have foreseen all these injuries, and we might have been, if we never had any injuries this season, we could have coped with this fine. The intensity would have been the same. But with all these injuries and not trusting certain players, it's absolutely vital that the ones that are in the background, like Gray and Bergvall, they need to be ready to step up. What about Yang? Yang's coming in January. Well, he's coming early. They've asked him to come in early, sorry. And that tells me that means we're not going to be signing another forward player. That means Yang is the guy that we're expecting to come in and do a job for us. But again, he won't be trusted. He doesn't even know how to speak the language. He's never even played outside Japan before. He's not ever had any experience of English football at all. So we can't expect him to come in and hit the ground running. But that's what I think the club's going to be doing, because they wouldn't have asked him to come in early otherwise. So unless they think he's good enough, but that's what they said about Bergvall, Gray, Odegaard, Brandon Austin. They said that about all these players, but they're not playing. So it's contradicting. I was like thinking, oh, this squad looks pretty good. At the beginning of the season, I was like, they rated Bergvall, they rated Gray. So I thought, yeah, we had cover everywhere. I thought that would be good, but it just doesn't seem to happening. In January, we need to get ourselves a left-sided centre-back cover, a left-back cover. We need to get a DM that's being trusted in there. And we need to get a number 9 to cover Solanke if Solanke's not fit. Because as soon as Solanke's out, the intensity up front dipped. You notice when Kulu and Solanke are not up front, the intensity in the pressing up front was gone. It's just Sonny on his own. And that was it. So it just didn't work. So we need someone like Solanke in that number 9 because they're not trusting Lancashire. If they do decide to trust Lancashire, then fair enough. But if not, don't have him in the squad. It's simple as that. Don't have players just to make up the numbers, because it's not going to work. It's not going to be sustainable, and we're not going to get any consistency. This is the biggest reason why consistency is not happening at the moment. Run over. Let me know in the comments what you think, and come on, you Spurs.